Hey there YouTube, do excuse the voice, it's a bit graunchy and grainy at the moment because I'm just getting over a case of glandular fever. Lots of fun. I'm also going to be chewing on an antiseptic lozenge throughout this video, so do excuse me. This is going to be a response to Michael, GWolf2, whose channel you will find floating around here and over there, I believe, in the comments, in the thingy box, the description box. Very belated response, actually. Michael asked a question, quite a thought-provoking one, actually, in one of his more recent videos, which was, how do you explain to someone something that they themselves have never experienced? How do you give them a coherent impression of it, or how do you get them to comprehend it? And I would answer that basically you don't. The most you can do, no matter how eloquent or articulate you happen to be, or how colourfully you can express this particular experience, the most you will be able to communicate is your own particular perceptions of that experience or event. I do hold to the philosophy that we all experience things differently and we all perceive things differently based on our own preconceptions and the experiences that led up to the particular experience in question, which of course provide context for how we will interpret that experience. Therefore, although there will almost certainly be certain commonalities between varying perceptions, there will also be very significant differences. So even if you could somehow communicate absolutely your own experience and your own perceptions of a particular event, the most you would be able to give is your own. It would not necessarily synchronize with how another person or someone you're attempting to communicate that experience to would perceive it, and the significance that you derive from it will almost certainly be different dependent upon your own individual interpretation. It's in many ways it's a kind of it's quite a bleak philosophy. It's a bleak perspective to have because it demonstrates just how alone we human beings are in our own heads, in our own minds. But I find it rather difficult to argue against. You can give an impression of the event and of the experience, and you can postulate a framework of interpretation or of potential interpretation based upon what your interpretation of it is and the significance that you have derived from it. But that's the most you can do. You can never give someone an absolute impression of something that you've experienced and they haven't. And even when they do experience it, even if they experienced it in exactly the same way, I'd argue that the significance that they would derive from it would be different from the significance that you would derive from it. So that's my own thoughts on the matter. Bloody good question, actually. I required a lot of cogitation before I could actually sit down and make this video. I also think it's a mistake to regard experiences as these isolated events. Insofar as I can see, all experience, and not everything that occurs in reality really, is part of a contingency that threads from the very first, the singularity that was whatever precipitated this universe or this reality. Everything stems from that. It is an ever-elaborating tree of contingencies. Event, precipitating event, precipitating event, precipitating event. And the same is true of a human experience. and also of the means by which we develop our own perceptions and the frameworks, these schemas, if you like, by which we perceive reality, and thereby derive significance from particular experiences. Therefore, the only way, really, you could have exactly the same experience as someone else is if they were you. There is no way you could have exactly the same experience as someone else in precisely the same manner, because the contingencies that led to where you are and the development of your perceptions are different. Even if they are similar in certain key ways, they're still going to be different from the contingencies that led to the development of other people's perceptions and where they are, and etc, etc. It's a very, very thorny issue, this one, and much more complicated, I think, than can be determined via a 10-minute YouTube video. In fact, this is the kind of thing you could write, and there have been books written on it endlessly. You could go on forever. But yeah, this is a fantastic subject, actually, and I'd advise everyone to go and check out GWolf's original video and post your own thoughts on the matter.